In the middle of the night, when the town's electricity failed once again, a metallic scraping sound echoed through the apartment corridors and forced everyone to lock their doors. Children stopped looking out of windows, while the elderly sealed their curtains tightly. In front of the abandoned apartment on the third floor, strange footprints appeared every night. The dusty marks slowly climbed the stairs, yet none of them ever returned. Nobody in the building dared to speak about it openly. A young boy who had moved into the building only months earlier quickly noticed the fear in the neighbors' eyes. One old man especially caught his attention because every night at exactly 3 o'clock, he poured salt across his doorway with trembling hands. During another blackout, the boy finally gathered enough courage to climb toward the third floor alone. The stairwell smelled strongly of mold and damp concrete, while the air became colder with every single step upward. When he finally reached the abandoned apartment door, faint whispers came from inside. A dark liquid slowly leaked beneath the door and spread across the dusty floor toward his shoes. Startled, he stepped backward, but the whispering suddenly stopped. The entire hallway fell into complete silence, as if the building itself had stopped breathing. Just as he prepared to run downstairs, the ringing of an old telephone echoed loudly from inside the apartment. Everyone in the building claimed the phone lines had been disconnected years ago. When the boy touched the doorknob, the freezing metal burned against his skin. The door slowly creaked open, revealing a dark living room filled with broken furniture and heavy shadows. Inside the room, an old television flickered with static, despite not being connected to anything. Between the distorted waves, the apartment corridor briefly appeared on the glowing screen. It took the boy only seconds to realize the footage was not live. The television was showing events moments before they happened. He suddenly saw himself standing in the hallway, while a tall, shadowy figure slowly appeared behind him. Terrified, he instantly turned around, but the corridor remained empty. When he looked back at the television, the version of himself on the screen violently collapsed before the image disappeared into static once again. The apartment building was officially known to have only 4 floors, but older residents whispered that years earlier a terrible fire had destroyed a hidden upper level. That night, however, heavy footsteps echoed directly above the ceiling. Chains scraped across the floor overhead, while dull knocking sounds traveled through the walls. As the boy tried to escape downstairs, the corridor lights flickered rapidly around him without warning. During each flash of light, blackened handprints appeared along the walls before vanishing again seconds later, leaving behind only cracked paint and silence. The next morning, one of the elderly women finally spoke about the fire that happened many years ago. According to her, an entire family had become trapped inside the upper floor while the flames consumed the building. When firefighters arrived, the floor had already collapsed completely into ashes. No bodies were ever found inside the ruins. Soon after the tragedy, residents began hearing footsteps every night from above the ceiling. Some believed the family had somehow survived inside the walls, while others insisted the dead were still trying to escape. The strangest detail was the mysterious corridor that appeared afterward, even though it never existed on the building plans before the fire. Nobody could explain where the hallway actually led afterward. For days, the boy could barely sleep. Every morning, he discovered wet footprints outside his bedroom door, leading toward the hallway. Late one night, his phone suddenly received a video call from an unknown number. The screen showed a dark corridor, illuminated only by faint blinking lights. As the camera slowly moved forward, he realized the footage showed the third floor of his own apartment building, and the abandoned apartment door standing open. Just before the connection ended, a burned face briefly appeared on the screen, and a distorted voice whispered, "You left the door open." Filled with panic, the boy rushed upstairs and discovered the apartment door standing completely open. The air inside smelled strongly of smoke and damp ashes. In the center of the living room stood an old dining table with a bowl of soup resting on it, still steaming as though someone had prepared it moments earlier. Although the apartment was supposedly abandoned, it felt inhabited by something unseen. At the end of the corridor inside the apartment stood a cracked mirror. When the boy looked into it, he did not see his own reflection. Instead, the tall, shadowy figure stood directly behind him. The following morning, several residents noticed the boy had vanished entirely from his room. His window remained open, but there were no signs that he had fallen. Police officers searched the entire building for days. When they finally forced open the third-floor apartment, they discovered nothing inside. The room was completely empty, covered only in dust and broken walls. Yet only nights earlier, the television had flickered there and warm food had sat upon the table. Official reports claimed the apartment had remained sealed and abandoned for more than 20 years without interruption. Weeks later, a new family moved into the apartment building and immediately began complaining about footsteps coming from above their ceiling every night. Their young child constantly claimed someone was walking on the third floor after midnight. One evening, security camera footage captured a thin figure standing motionless outside the abandoned apartment door. Before anyone could fully examine the recording, the screen abruptly turned black forever.